Page 74, C Mist. So one of those challenge pieces they put at the end of every chapter. So you get to use the stuff you've been learning about. And I have a few things to say about this. At the top of the page, they give you a new sign, an octave sign. An 8 VA you already know about. That means go up or down an octave depending on where it is. If it's above the staff, the 8 VA. If it's above the staff, you go up. If it's below the staff, you go down. Now they're introducing a 15 MA because 8 and 8 is 15 in music. It simply means you go up 2 octaves from where the note is written. Because the interval 2 octaves, let's go from here, C. If I go an octave up, that's an 8. That's an interval of an 8th. If I go up another C here, that's an interval of a 15th if you count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 15th. Now some music publishers, when they do that, they'll put a 16 MA. It means 2 octaves. 16 or 15 is correct, but some publishers use 16 because they think 8 and 8 is 16. How silly is that? You know, it's okay. We'll get to that at the end of the piece. I'll talk about it later. Let's look the piece over. It's 2 pages long. Treble and bass clef. No sharps or flats in the key signature. We're either in the key of C major or A minor. And if you look at the last measure, those are both C's. I'm guessing we're in C major. But do the scales for C major and A minor, both. Make sure you're doing both of those. 3/4 time signatures, and we got 8th notes going crazy. Let's take it one hand at a time, make sure we know what's going on. I have some fingering suggestions, and they're doing some fingering things in here I really like, so I want to talk about that. Using a good fingering, that comes over time, and there's different fingering styles. It's not saying one is right and one is wrong, although there are some really bad fingerings, but I want to talk about it. At the beginning, the right hand, the rhythm, simple 1 and 2 and that rhythm is everywhere, if you can get that. 1 and 2 and 3. See those last 2 8th notes? That's 3 and. 1 and 2. The thumb comes down. The hand's not moving, just the thumb. 2. And again, here. You can lift the other fingers up here. You kind of need the thumb on that, because now you got to come up to the 5 or stretch out. Here, and then cross over. We're in this position now. And then in measure 6, 5 finger. We're getting ready for what's coming here. See, I got to go all the way down to here. I didn't have to turn, I didn't cross over the thumb. And that's what I like about this. I don't cross over the thumb anymore, and I have to. Now measure 4 we had to, but now that we're here, we don't need to. 5. And measure 8. They hear and they want you to hear. You can get away with it because of the phrasing, but I'd still like a fingering that allows me to connect the notes. I want to feel my way around the piano, and going from a to here, it's not that easy to do. So I'm going to change the fingering a little bit. On measure 8, instead of 4th finger, I'm going to use thumb. Because in measure 7, you're here. Just scrunch up and use thumb. Now my 2's there, ready to go. And I do it again. Now at the bottom of the page, this is measure 15. Again, I'm going to use thumb on that note to get, because I want to go up. They want you to go from here to here. Thumb. That's just as bad as going from here to here. I don't want to do either one. So I'm going to use thumb and then 2nd finger. Here. So measure 16, I have to use 5th finger rather than 4th. Here. Then you can use 3 if you want, scrunch up. But if you look at all the notes across that line, you don't really have to move at all. You just stay here. You're using the awkward fingers, but that's all right. However, when you get to the end of the line, and then going to measure 20, just stay here. Use 3rd finger on measure 20. But then to measure 21, go ahead and scrunch up. Use 3, 5, because we got to get ready for what's coming. So we've done that before. And then measure 24, use thumb again. So we're back in position to go on. Now, there's nothing wrong with the fingering in the book. I just like to feel my way around the keyboard, and this fingering allows me to do that. I don't have to look down at the keyboard to see where I'm going. And some of these movements, they've got you have to look at the keyboard to see where they're going. There's nothing wrong with that. I just prefer not to. On measure 31, you're ending here, and then you have a bass clef. So just reach down. You can move it. It's okay. And the next measure, treble clef back, you're up here. And the next measure, where the left hand plays the first 3/8 notes, and then you come up here, and this is where the 15 MA comes in. The notes are written here. 15 is 2 octaves up. So one octave, 2 octave, you're up here on the top octave of it on a full 88 key piano. If you have a short keyboard, you just play the highest notes of these you have. Okay, left hand. Well, left hand's just got broken chords. See? 8th notes, 1N, 2N. Measure 4, come up, and then down. You're moving around each time. That's okay. You got lots of rest to move. Measure 16, you're up here, and then here, and then come, and then here, and you're coming down. Okay. Let's go down to the bottom, measure 31. You're here, down here. Then treble clef, you're up here. And then in the next to the last measure, the left hand plays this first part. The notes are written here, but it has an AVA over it. It's up here. Just reach. Don't lean when you do this. Just turn and reach if you can. Up here. Stay as upright as you can. And the last measure, the last note is a C down here, but it has an AVA under it. Remember, you go down if it's under it. So instead of here, you go to here. If you have a large enough keyboard, if you have a short keyboard, play the low C you have. Then we put the hands together. We'll just think a steady 8th note pulse. 1 and 2 and 3 and. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1. This is that rhythm throughout. It's how they work. Now, again, the last line on page 75, measure 31, you're here. You're going to have to lift up. Just keep a steady 8th note pulse going through here. 1 and 2 and 3 and 1 and 2. And you have the high C and the low C both going at the same time at the end. So you put the hands together and then go through it carefully and make sure there's no hesitation. So those 8th notes are steady all the way through. And then I think about the articulation, which here, it's all connected. You're just putting in the phrasing, like a measure 8 when you finish a phrase, because the first 2 lines, it's all one phrase. And then, so measure 8, you're finishing a phrase and you can lift up. You see, the phrase starts and ends on that C. Because if you look at the beginning here, that's the beginning of the phrase. Well, this is another phrase just like it. So the phrase actually starts and ends on that C. Now, the way they've written their curved lines, you would lift up. So the phrase starts on the D. So I kind of disagree with that, but it's an interpretive thing. It's a personal thing. You have to decide. You can have situations where your phrase starts and ends. One phrase ends on the same note, another phrase starts. The same note does both. Happens quite a bit. And in that case, you just connect it all. Here, so in that case, in measure 8, I would treat that as the end of one phrase, but also the beginning of the next. So I'm going to connect it. So I would connect all that together just because of the way it's written. Don't have to. I could interpret it the way they're suggesting. I could go ahead and... because you get down to the last measure, measure 15, you're here. They won't lift up. So these notes, these 8th notes, they'll pick up and lead into the next one. Ba-da-da-da. Go up to here. If you treat that as a phrase, these are pickups. If you do that, you could do that on measure 8. Treat those as pickups. It's part of interpreting the music, and some people will see it one way and other people will see it another way. We can just do what the music is telling us to do for now. Is lift up on measure 15 between them. Here, lift up. You have to lift up on measure 19 to give you rest. Now measure 24 is the same as measure 8. So however you played measure 8, do measure 24 the same. I'm going to connect them because I think it sounds better connected. Which means on measure 15, I'm going to connect those two because that C in measure 15 ends one phrase and begins the next. The same note. So I'm just going to pretend I ended, now I'm starting it, and that's the note. Otherwise, you're pretty much connecting everything. Dynamics, they apply to the melody. Here it's kind of hard sometimes to tell what the melody is, but I believe the melody really is the right hand. So bring the right hand out. Play that at mezzo piano where they're saying, and keep the left hand under it just a little bit. So we want to hear that. Moderately soft. This is soft or very soft. You decide. It's just here. You don't get another dynamic until measure 15 where you get the hairpin to get louder. Here. You go to moderately loud. Left hand still in soft. Then to measure 19 you're coming down. Now you're soft. Measure 20, that's softer than you were at the beginning. Left hand's very soft. Measure 23, go back up to moderately soft like you were at the beginning. You can do the dynamics. At the end you get really, really super soft. Because on measure 32 there's diminuendo, so you're soft here, and this is both hands now. Here on this one. Measure 31, you're here. You're here. The song, the melody of the song ended with the note on measure 31. That note, that's C. After that, it's over. This other is just an after, like a coda, an afterthought, just here. So, however you're doing this, that's how you're doing the rest of it. There's no melody there. DIM to get softer and retardando to slow down. And again, they don't always put the DIM and the RIT in exactly where they go. You play the line and what feels right to you. Where do you think you should start getting softer? Well, you're only going from moderately soft down to very soft, so take your time. You don't want to be very soft until the last measure. And the RIT, you could start retarding at the beginning of that next to the line here. So I can start right there on retarding here. And when I play this note, I want to hear that note if possible. Now that note, it'll be very soft anyway. You can actually play it a little louder because it'll still come out soft. This note you got to be very careful with because down here, it just wants to play louder. So you have to be really careful with this to get soft. But this, you can play this a little louder and it'll still be soft. I don't know if that made any sense at all, but it did to me. Speed, well, flowing ain't a speed. It's just it's all connected. What do you do? Don't drag it. That doesn't flow. And it's not fast or no, somewhere in the middle, a nice gentle speed, about an andante somewhere in there, just it's the feel of it. It's not the speed of the beat necessarily, it's the overall feel. So these eighth notes will slow the beat down a little, the feel. Remember the natural accents. 1, 2, 3, 1, and exaggerate them if you need to feel them. I'm exaggerating them so you can hear them better. You just want to feel this 1, 2, 3, all the way through. Even a measure 31 on here, where 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I'm still feeling that 1, 2, 3 all the way through. Now, and on top of that, they've added pedal. It gives it the misty flavor of it. But I would like to experiment with the pedal. Let's see what we can do with the pedal. Don't just blindly pedal it the way they say to. Oh, they said to do it that way, so that's how I did it. You're interpreting it, and the pedaling and how you pedal is part of the interpretation. So listen, experiment with the pedal a little bit and see, is that really the interpretation you want? And I'm going to give you some options here. So the first thing we did is, of course, we learned it without the pedal. That way we can hear it, see what it sounds like without anything. Then the next thing we can do is try the pedaling that's suggested. Listen to it, see what it's like. It's overlapping pedaling, it's lag pedaling, so the hands, the fingers do their thing first, and then the pedal. So at the beginning, the pedal goes down right after I play the notes. And I change the pedal after I play the notes. And it's that way all the way through. That's okay. Yeah, I don't like it, but some people would. Okay. If you're not listening too hard, it's okay. Another thing we can try is maybe lifting up on the third beat to clear out the sound. So we hear the rest, the quarter rest in the left hand. So just lift up on the third beat. It's a different sound. It's a different interpretation. It's up to you on what you like. I don't know. I like the idea of lifting up on the third beat better, in my opinion, because I like to hear the rests occasionally. Now, I'm not hearing all of the rests. I'm only hearing some of them, but that's okay. Now, on measure 19, we're here. I lift up right when I play the F, because it's a new phrase. I want to hear that phrase. I want to hear the phrase, so it's here. You get the idea. I just lift up for that. And you can make little adjustments with the pedal. Most of these phrases are connected phrases, so you lose them anyway. Now at the end, starting on measure 31, here you're just collecting all the sound. You keep it down. And then the pedal and the hands come up together at the end after the third beat. So how you pedal it is up to you, but I am going to go ahead and lift it on the third beat because I like to clear it. I like a cleaner sound typically anyway, but that's not maybe what they wanted. I mean, he may have wanted this overall misty sound. Keep in mind that in these method books, a lot of times they will keep the pedaling indications simple because you got enough to think about already, so they don't want to complicate the pedal too much. And so they typically just pedal everything. I've found that in a number of pieces in a number of books. So it's hard to tell if they're doing it they're just trying to keep it simple for you, or if he really does want this sound throughout. Because the author of the book is the person who wrote this. It's his piece. They have an espressivo there between the stabs there at the beginning. Means expressively. That's interpreting it. That's after you get to know it and you start feeling the music, get into the music. Then you play it as you feel it. You express it. I would play this different every time I played it because I would feel it different. If you feel it a little getting louder and softer in places, go for it. Let's play it together very slowly to check the notes and the rhythms. I'm going to leave the pedal out because you can hear the notes better if I don't pedal it. And we're not performing it, we're just checking notes and rhythms. I'm not doing any louds and softs, just notes and rhythms. So I'll give us 3 counts. We're going to go pretty slow for me at least. 1 and ready and go and 1 and 2. One, two.